Uncle Luke reads The Very Brave Bear. In the jingle-jangle jungle, on the edge of slimy bog, Bear was picking berries from a very wobbly log. "Ahoy!" said Boris Buffalo from underneath the mud, and Bear fell off his wobbly log and landed with a thud. "I didn't mean to scare you," said Boris with a grin. "I only came to ask you if you wanted to come in." "I wasn't even scared," said Bear. "I'm just as brave as you. The bravest thing that you can do, I can do it too." So he balanced like a butterfly upon the wobbly log. He did a double somersault and splashed in slimy bog. "If you're so brave," continued Bear, "then come and follow me. We'll see how brave a buffalo is when climbing up a tree." So Bear climbed up a mighty tree, the tallest he could find, and there was Boris Buffalo climbing right behind. "That was easy," Boris said, "and what a pleasant view. But I can think of something else that you'd be scared to do." Boris wandered up a hill, the steepest he could find, then tumbled down the other side, and Bear was right behind. "That was easy," boasted Bear. "I'm just as brave as you, but I can think of something else that you'd be scared to do." They crossed a raging river, and they swung between the trees. They tried to catch a porcupine and wear a beard of bees. Bear and Boris Buffalo were the bravest of the brave, until, that is, they came across a very scary cave. "It's awfully dark inside," said Boris. "It's quiet too," said Bear. Then with his softest voice he said, "Is anybody there?" "Maybe we should wait," said Boris, "until we know for sure." And then from in the cave there came a very scary roar. Bear and Boris Buffalo had never been so scared. They decided not to go inside and then ran away instead. They hurried through the jungle and they hid in slimy bog. And then from in the cave there came a tiny little frog. "I didn't mean to scare you," said Froggy with a grin. "I only came to ask you if you wanted to come in." So Bear and Boris Buffalo went back to Froggy's cave and agreed that bears and buffaloes are equally as brave. Uncle Luke reads The Very Clever Bear. In the jingle-jangle jungle, there were posters everywhere. The circus needed animals. That sounds like fun, thought Bear. But he couldn't really belly dance as well as Allie could, and he made a mess of juggling whilst Lion was really good. His magic tricks were terrible, so he left them up to Moose, who was being well assisted by his helper, Bruce the Goose. Instead, he built a bicycle with sticks and string and glue, and practiced all those clever things that bears on bikes can do. Upside down and back to front, he pedalled here and there. The circus was the perfect place for such a clever bear. Well, they loved the dancing elephant, they adored the magic moose, they cheered the juggling lion, and they clapped the helpful goose. But the circus wasn't looking for a very clever bear. "I'm sorry," said the owner, "but we've got one over there." "Not only is she clever, but her back is made of steel. As well as all of that," he said, "she's only got one wheel." Bear was disappointed as he rode his bike away and promised he'd be back again to ride another day. He hurried down to Slimy Bog and found himself some steel and built himself a bicycle with a tiny wobbly wheel. He wobbled here and wobbled there. Zig and zag he went, all the way up the hill to the big top circus tent. He took a little peek inside, but something wasn't right. His friends looked quite unhappy there beneath the glaring light. Allie wasn't dancing, and Moose was far from pleased. Lion was being poked with chairs, and Bruce was being teased. And just when Bear was certain things were bad as they could get, he spotted Panda way up high, without a safety net. Bear got on his wobbly bike and boldly burst inside. He rode around the circus ring as fast as he could ride. First he rescued Lion, and they dodged the flaming hoop. He gathered Bruce the Goose at speed and did a loop-the-loop. They landed next to Allie, and she launched them in the air, whee! Where they caught themselves a flying moose and a swinging panda bear. They picked up Allie Elephant, and out the tent they rode, a very clever bear indeed, with a very heavy load. Bear was very tired, so off to sleep he went, hoping that he'd never see another stripy tent. Uncle Luke reads The Very Cranky Bear. In the jingle-jangle jungle, on a cold and rainy day, 4 little friends found the perfect place to play. Moose had marvelous antlers, and Lion a golden mane. Zebra had fantastic stripes, and Sheep, well, Sheep was plain. None of them had noticed that someone else was there. Sleeping in that cave was a very cranky bear. Roar went the cranky bear. Roar, roar, roar. He gnashed his teeth and stomped his feet and chased them out the door. So in the jingle-jangle jungle, on a cold and rainy day, 4 little friends had nowhere warm to play. Wait a minute, said Zebra, as she scratched her furry chin. Maybe if we cheered him up, he'd let us come back in. If I did not have stripes, said Zebra, I'd be cranky too. We should give that bear some stripes. That's what we should do. Stripes are silly, Moose complained, especially on a bear. My antlers always cheer me up. Let's give that bear a pair. No, 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 said Lion. Antlers are a bore. A golden mane like mine, he said, would cheer him up for sure. So Zebra fetched a tin of mud and Lion some grass of gold. Moose got 2 big branches and Sheep, well, Sheep got cold. Sheep was getting worried. They've been eaten up for sure. And then from in the cave there came a very cranky roar. Zebra, Lion and Moose ran out and Bear was right behind them. They hid behind the bushes where they hoped he wouldn't find them. Why is he still cranky? He's got antlers, stripes and mane. Before we gave him those, Lion said, he looks so very plain. As Bear stormed back inside the cave, he turned and roared at Sheep. All I really want, he said, is a quiet place to sleep. So she fetched a pair of clippers and she clipped off half her wool. She stuffed it in a cotton bag until the bag was full. She tiptoed back inside the cave. Excuse me, Bear, she said. Would you like a pillow for underneath your head? Well, thank you very much, said Bear, and soon he fell asleep. Maybe he was dreaming of a plain but thoughtful sheep. Uncle Luke reads The Very Hungry Bear. Yum, yum. Bear was in a grumpy mood. He hadn't eaten any food, and he couldn't catch a single fish to cook. He'd been hungry since the break of day, and every fish had got away. Now suddenly something huge was on his hook. Yank! He cranked the handle round and round. He yanked the line and wound and wound. He flicked it here and waved it over there. A hungry bear is very strong, so it didn't take him very long to discover that he'd caught a polar bear. Do you have the fish there? Said the hungry brown bear. You're catching all of the fish. I'm sorry, he said as he lifted his head. You can have one of mine if you wish. Then he added with a smile, "You can have the whole pile if you'll just find me somewhere to stay. My iceberg is shrinking and soon I'll be sinking, and my home's such a long way away." Now, a fish to a bear is like a chocolatey eclair. It's incredibly hard to resist. So the thought of a pile that would last for a while was an offer too good to be missed. With a splosh and a splish and an armful of fish, Bear led the way through the trees. "My cave's over there and I'm happy to share. You can stay for as long as you please." But his guest shook his head. "I'm so sorry," he said. "Whilst your cave is particularly nice, it's just a bit hot for this coat that I've got, and the fire is melting my ass." So they went to see Mole, and he dug them a hole, which was cooler but just a bit small. And they visited Croc on his cool river rock, but he wasn't that helpful at all. "Perhaps this is best," said the bear from a nest, "but I think I'm going to sneeze." Then he squinted his eyes and he said with surprise, "Achoo! I'm allergic to trees." So the bear with white hair followed right behind Bear to the only place left they could go, away from the trees and the warm summer breeze, all the way up to the snow. They built him a home with an icy white dome, and Bear left a housewarming dish. With a smile and a wave, Bear went back to his cave. And he stopped on the way for a fish. Uncle Luke reads The Very Itchy Bear. Itch, itch, scratch, scratch. Bear is here, and here is Flea, but Flea's a little small to see. This is Flea about to bite, but not because he's impolite. He's biting Bear to say, "Hello." Biting high, biting low. This is Flea biting Bear, under here and over there. Biting, biting everywhere. Whoop, splash, blub, 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 blub. This is Bear, and this is Flea, floating, floating out to sea. This is Bear not quite sure if Flea is with him anymore. This is Flea reminding Bear that Flea has not gone anywhere. Hee. This is Bear flicking Flea, flick-wing, off his fur and out to sea. Whee! This is Bear all alone, frightened now he's on his own. This is Bird, and this is Bear, and Flea is way, way over there. This is Flea about to see how scary hungry birds can be. This is Bear in the sea, swimming fast to rescue Flea. Flea is happy Bear can swim. This is Flea not biting him. This is Flea, and this is Bear. Together they go everywhere. Uncle Luke reads The Very Noisy Bear. In the jingle jangle jungle, there was music in the air, and it landed in the ears of a very sleepy bear. "Excuse me," said the bear to the music-making sheep. "Your band is very noisy, and it's time for me to sleep." "Now that you're awake," said Sheep, "perhaps you'd like to stay. Have you ever tried the jungle drums? They're really fun to play." Lion was on the jungle drums, and Bear began to smile. "I suppose if I could play the drums, I'd stay a little while." He sat upon the tiny stool. Boom, bang, bash. Boom went the noisy bear. Boom, bang, crash. "It's harder than it looks," said Lion, "to play a jungle drum. You might prefer an instrument. You only have to strum." Zebra had a striped guitar. She handed it to Bear. "You hold it over here," she said, "and strum it over there." Bear started strumming softly. Then he strummed a little more. Then he started strumming wildly with his massive strumming paw. But his claws were long and curly, and they tangled in the strings. "Never mind," said Zebra. "Guitars are tricky things." Moose held up his trumpet. "Would you like to have a go? All you have to do," he said, "is take a breath and blow." Bear took in a giant breath and blew with all his might. The trumpet made a screeching noise, and all the birds took flight. The elephants stampeded, and all the monkeys left. Everyone took cover until Bear was out of breath. "Your lungs are awfully strong," said Sheep. "You must be very proud. But there is another instrument that isn't quite as loud. Have you ever tried a microphone? It's just a simple thing. You only have to hold it up, clear your throat, and sing." She handed Bear the microphone and counted up to 4. The band began to play a tune, and Bear began to roar. Roar went the noisy bear. Roar, roar, roar. More, cheered the audience. More, more, more. The elephants were dancing and the monkeys sang along. He roared in perfect harmony through every single song. Then when the show was over and the moon had settled in, when everyone was fast asleep, he tried the violin. Uncle Luke reads The Very Sleepy Bear. Winter had come early and Bear was running late. He was feeling very sleepy. It was time to hibernate. He hurried down the mountain, past the icy rocks, and never even noticed a rather sneaky fox. At last he reached his cozy cave just in time for bed. Then Fox appeared from nowhere. "Good afternoon," he said. "I couldn't help but notice that your cave is very small. There's hardly any room in here to hibernate at all. A great big bear like you," said Fox, "so big and strong and brave, a creature so magnificent, deserves a bigger cave." "A bigger cave? For me?" yawned Bear. "Perhaps you could be right. I must admit this little cave is getting rather tight." "Today's your lucky day," said Fox. "I've just a cave for you. I'll even help you pack," he said. "I've nothing else to do." So Bear picked up his suitcase and he gave a little wave and left his cozy home behind to find a bigger cave. "Forget your little cave," said Fox. "This huge one could be yours. There's heaps of room to hibernate. It's even got 2 doors. It's absolutely waterproof, free from snow and rain. And once a day at 2 o'clock, you get to see a train." Fox was smiling nervously and Bear just shook his head. "I'm feeling very sleepy. I'm going home," he said. "But you're so very big," said Fox, "and your cave so very small. You really need a bigger cave, a cave that's nice and tall. This one's made of solid wood and not a train in sight." "And never mind the bats," said Fox. "They all go out at night." Fox was smiling nervously and Bear just shook his head. "Feeling very sleepy. I'm going home," he said. "But wait! There is another cave, if that one's not for you." "It's got a sandy floor," said Fox, "and a lovely ocean view." "I'll take it," said the sleepy bear and shook the fox's hand. He took his favourite pillow out and curled up in the sand. But just as Bear was nodding off inside his brand new cave, there came a splishy, splashy sound, and then there came a wave. Bear was cold and cranky and very, very tired. He packed his little suitcase up. "I'm going home," he sighed. When Bear arrived back home at last, ready for his bed, Fox and all his little friends were living there instead. "Please, don't throw us out," said Fox. "We're all so very small, you'll hardly even notice that we're living here at all." "Well, today's your lucky day," said Bear as he lay upon the floor. "Wake me up in spring," he said. "And by the way, I snore." Uncle Luke reads The Very Super Bear. In the jingle jangle jungle, while Bear was chasing bees, he came across the strangest thing beneath the shady trees. It was such a lovely colour and just the perfect shape. "Today's my lucky day," said Bear. "I've found myself a cape." He swished it here and swooshed it there and waved it in the breeze. Until a little voice cried out, "Can someone help me, please?" It was coming from the treetops, from way up in the sky, where Elephant was holding tight and trying not to cry. "Please fly up here and save me. I can't get down," he said. "It's not that kind of cape," yelled Bear. "I'll have to climb instead." As Bear climbed up the towering tree, it bent and bent and bent. The further up the tree he climbed, the further down they went. When Elephant was close enough, he stepped right off the thing and gave the Very Super Bear a very super fling. "Super Bear," honked Bruce the goose, "can you help us, please? A great big yellow monster is eating all the trees. It's gobbling up the jungle and owls asleep in there. You have to stop the monster. Please help us, Super Bear." "It's not that kind of cape," said Bear, "and I can't fly like you." Splash! "Oh, I'm not a super bear," he said, "but I'll see what I can do." "Perhaps the monster's cranky. We should cheer it up," said Bear. "Let's go and pick some flowers and take them over there." "I might not be a super bear and I don't have superpowers, but one thing that I know for sure, everyone loves flowers." Round and round he swung the cape and launched it through the air. Whee! It landed in the monster's lap, flowers everywhere. The monster didn't stop at all. It kept on gobbling trees. But wherever there are lots of flowers, there are also lots of bees. Bzzz. The monster huffed, the monster puffed, then turned and rolled away. The Very Super Bear and Bruce had saved the jungle's day. "A super bear like you," said Al, "deserves a super hug. Not only did you rescue me, you found my picnic rug." They shared a moonlit picnic, since Al preferred the night, and laughed about the super bear and his short but super flight.